Welcome to week 6 of the Elestriad, where MBT, representing Aelist and the Wind Pantheon, is throwing down against POWDR, representing Zeus and the Thunder Pantheon. Now, MBT has almost locked his playoff spot, but these clashes still matter as POWDR looks to climb his way up the ranks in the last few weeks, sitting at 2 and 3. We've seen some really cool plays and growth and development from these casters as they've worked their way through the Elestriad. And again, we are down to just the final few weeks before playoffs. MBT's bringing Penterror. He's got a very focused strategy with Wind, and POWDR has some really cool removal cards and has a pretty, Thunder-focused deck. So make sure you guys hit that like button down below and let me know who you got for this one. You can check out the deck profiles if you want to see the full thing. And without further ado, let's dive in to the clash. All right, looks like we're getting this one kicked off here. POWDR gonna set a back row to get things started with those beautiful Zaptor spirits, and he's gonna be digging for a spirit deck, looking to cast an Elestral. Is this gonna be an Astravid? Is it gonna be a Toxion to get this clash kicked off? Either of those would be nice. And Elechick, also very nice. This is gonna allow him to go right into his deck and grab that Zeus right away, which very, very advantageous. We've seen a ton of Elechick played throughout the Elestriad. Being able to search out your Divine, a key piece to Nexus strategies, and just a key card in general, always appreciated. And Elechick, of course, does just that, giving Thunder a really nice advantage here, getting Zeus out to the field. Again, being able to drop the attack and defense by 3 of an opposed Elestral allows things like Elechick to hit over a lot of stuff, pretty much most of the meta, so it gives you a really good opportunity to gain an advantage. Another back row here, and then we're going to see a Thunder Spirit. Will this be the turn 1 Astravid? It is the turn 1 Astravid. Has arrived once again for MBT, the exact card you want to see. POWDR has an opportunity here to respond to it. Looks like we got some thumbs up there, and he's going to press onward. One thing we saw from our last tournament we ran was some Gorgon's Gaze targeting down that Astravid. Interesting play, kind of shutting down its effect. In this case, obviously not going to play any sort of an impact here, but MBT going to be able to look at the top 3 and add something, and he's just going to set 3 back row here, a menacing back row for POWDR. If you're POWDR, though, you're not feeling too bad right now because that Zeus is going to allow you to attack over the Astravid, and while you're most certainly going to run into something like a Tsunami, you can at least start to chip away at some of that back row. So that's what your objective is going to be here if you're POWDR. He's going to reach for a Spirit, and it's going to be the Zeus. So he did set his Zeus face down. I think that's a little risky going up against a deck that is running P-Gust. If you've been watching the Elestriad, MBT is a big P-Gust fan, and that's something to watch out for in this clash. POWDR going to go up to 3, it looks like, on Zeus instead of 4. It keeps him a little safe from a potential P-Gust. You don't want to go too full on that at this stage of the clash. And he is going to disenchant 1 to drop the defense of the Astravid. And we'll see if he has another Elestral to cast, if he's going to expend the draw, or if he's just going to attack here. It looks like he's not going to cast an Elestral or expend the draw. I think this is a mistake. I think there's a really good window of opportunity here to, at the very least, expend the draw. We're so early on this clash that Spirit is not going to make a huge difference. Getting that extra draw when you already have field presence could be useful. It could be really big. It could give him an Earthquake. It could give him, anything that resting on your laurels or something, so you can kind of prepare for future turns. So I would like to see that out of POWDR. He ends up getting shielded back to his hand, but do not forget, casters, if you do not need to normal cast or re-enchant an Elestral in a turn, you can always expend a Spirit to draw. Now that does forego your cast, of course, but it's very useful. And we're going to see a double Wind. Is this going to be the Aelist? No, it's going to be the Nectar of the Gods. Getting to draw 2, that nice holographic Lycoris pulled from MBT most recently there. You got to love that. It's going to give him 2 more cards to his hand. I think Nog has fallen out of favor a little bit, but I think it's a very, very good card. And Stellar Astravid comes to the field here, and that's going to give him another look. So he's going to have another opportunity to look at the top of his deck, add more cards to his hand, and now get to fire off a barrage of 2 attackers into POWDR with 1 more back row to kind of seal off his turn here, and POWDR is going to be forced to take 2 damage. And there's not really any sort of rune play here from POWDR that would make a lot of sense. You don't want to Tsunami Astravids, right? You're better off just taking the hit here. So we know POWDR has an opportunity to go on the offensive. He has the Elechick. He can get another Zeus if he wants to. He can start to put some pressure on there. Obviously, with 3 back row, it's going to be very difficult. We're going to see an Ambrosia. Early Ambrosia from POWDR. Going to get him 3 Thunder Spirits back into his Spirit deck. So that little bit of regeneration there will help him out. And kind of even furthers the expend the draw that I mentioned earlier. Here comes Elechick, again, being able to get another Zeus. This is incredibly helpful in a deck that, again, is running a lot of P-Gust. You got to be careful with MBT's rune removal. So having another Zeus for late game could be advantageous. It looks like POWDR's going to play another rune here. He's got 1 Spirit. He's going to go for the Drops of Leith, which is a 2-cost play here. Drops of Leith are going to allow him to choose a few cards. He's got 2 Zeus in his hand, so he's going to send those back to his deck. which I don't hate, right? So he's going to be able to basically draw 3 now. He's going to be able to put those into his deck, shuffle it up, and draw 3 cards. Drops of Lethe, I think in some decks actually works better than Nectar of the Gods. Nectar of the Gods, 2 costs, you draw 2 cards. Simple as that. Drops of Lethe is you return cards from your hand to your deck and then draw that many +1. So you don't lose on the card advantage side of things, you're gaining the +1. It's really useful in decks that run a lot of 2 or 3 cost Elestrals, right? When you have Elestrals that require higher spirits, sometimes you get them earlier in the game than when you want them. Sometimes you're fishing for them. I think Drops of Lethe is really good in combo-oriented decks where you might be looking for just one piece. Like, let's say you're running Krakatuga and you're trying to search out an Eruption. Drops of Lethe gives you another opportunity to kind of access that. So he is going to let one of the Astrabbits go down. It's going to be the non-stellar one, of course. So we can see that beautiful stellar Astrabbit live for another turn. And here comes Hydrake, baby. Hydrake hits the field. This is the situation you don't want to be in if you're Powder, if you don't have back row. Astrabbit's going to go to the fence. Smart plays there from MBT. And Powder with 2 back row, he's going to be looking to try to stop this Hydrake right in its tracks right now. Or do you let it crash? The problem is Hydrake turns into Twindra in the same battle phase. So Twindra is going to be able to attack directly if Powder has no way to get rid of this thing. Here comes the attack. Does Powder have an answer face down? It looks as though he does not. He's going to let the crash happen, which means that Twindra comes to the field. Twindra comes down with 2 Wind Spirits, most likely enchanting it, and it's going to be able to attack directly. Now, Powder, this is where you would use your Shield of Achilles if you have it, and there's a really good case to make here of trying to bounce this Twindra back to his hand, but it seems as though Powder does not have the back row that he needs to support that type of a play, and thus the Twindra reigns supreme on the field as a 5 attacker, and now Powder is searching to try to figure out a way to deal with this. This is where something like a Boombat could be useful. Astrabbit will work too. I like this play. I think this is a really, really savvy play from Powder. Astrabbit in defense may give you the kind of, you know, withstanding you need to hang in there, but the well-timed poison-tipped arrow from MBT is going to kind of foil those plans very quickly, as now Astrabbit going to be forced to go down at the end of the turn. A good play from MBT, holding onto that poison-tipped arrow for the right moment, and this is definitely the right moment because, again, the Astrabbit was going to provide the defenses he needed to hold off, but it looks like he may have picked up an Earthquake in the process. He has it. Earthquake comes down, and that is going to shatter the Twindra. A huge play from Powder. I love it. Utilizing the Astrabbit, finding that Earthquake, baiting out the poison-tipped arrow. All of a sudden, this is looking like it could be a pretty good turn for Powder, right? He's going to lose his Rabbit, and he's going to lose the board presence, but he's going to put himself in a position where he can still win this clash, right? MBT doesn't have so much of a lead or so much an advantage that he can't get back into it. So MBT's going to draw for his turn here, and he's going to look to try to make some moves. Here comes Hydrake again, another one. He got rid of the Twindra, which was huge. MBT's generally been running only 1 Twindra or 2 Twindras, so there's a chance that you can kind of get around this, and it looks like MBT's going to do just that. He's going to go Misenchant with Hydrake, try to make sure he can get a hit off here with this Water Enchanted Hydrake. So here it comes. No effect. That means there's no Twindra. I don't think MBT is running 2 this week. I'd have to go take a look at the deck list myself, but Powder's going to get hit for 2, and his spirits are starting to run a little bit low now. MBT has the field presence with 3 back row as well. If you're Powder, you got to figure out a way to get through these 2 Elestrals and not have this back row devastate you. And Ambrosia's going to help in that cause, though. That's going to get him 3 spirits back, and now he actually has more spirits, or the same amount of spirits as MBT. Let's do a quick listen in.
I'm going to Zaptor into Sparkit.
Yep.
I'm going to I can Nexus up to 2. So if I Nexus up to 2, right, I can do 1 or 2 from anywhere else, right? Do I have to do 2 for it to be the ability, or?
You can choose to Nexus 0, 1, or 2 spirits. If you Nexus 0, the effect will not happen, the second part of it.
Okay.
If you Nexus either 1 or 2 spirits, the second part will happen.
Okay. All right.
These
perfect.
happen independently, right? So there's a Nexus and then there's a triggered ability?
Yes. So your opponent, for example, Powder, your opponent can respond after the Nexus before the when you do, because that's a conditional effect that goes on the next chain.
Okay. So I will go ahead and Nexus onto Sparkit. Do you have a response, or?
Well, depends on if you're activating the Sparkit effect.
I will.
Yeah, we'll go Gorgon's Gaze here.
Okay, cool.
Really awesome play there from Powder, forcing out a Gorgon's Gaze. Now, he's not going to gain a ton of field presence, but getting rid of Gorgon's Gaze at this stage of the clash could be exactly what he needs to try to come back. This all comes down to what is Powder's back row. Does he have a way to stop the Hydrake and the Elechick from hitting down his Spark It here? MBT with a clutch. Of course, Gorgon's Gaze, very smart play. Gorgon's is going to allow him to let the Nexus happen, but then, oh, there's an Earthquake. MBT saving it for when he needs it the most. Earthquake shatters the field and takes down, and now there's a hit for 3. If you're Powder, there is still a win con here. There is most certainly a win con, and it involves, in my mind, Toxion. I feel like if you can get Toxion out and you can clear that Hydrake, there's a real good chance you can win this. And he's got a resting on your laurels, so he can get rid of that Hydrake either way. I think that's what you want to go for here, because you really, if you have a Tsunami, which I think Powder might have face down, you really don't want to allow that Hydrake to hit directly. This is such a close clash. He's going to take out maybe I don't know what he's going to go for, but we are down to the wire here. Both casters sitting at just 3 spirits. This Laurels is going to hit something. Is he going to go after the Rabbit? He's going to go after the Elechick? I don't know if I agree with that play. I think there's a case to be made for Hydrake being misenchanted with water if you have Tsunami. If not, okay, fair enough. Otherwise, I think there's another case to be made potentially for the Rabbit. I think you got to take out the Hydrake, in my opinion. That's what I would go for. But he's got a Sorlet, so this is big. This is an opportunity for Powder to come back in this. Sorlet can take out this Hydrake and remove it as a threat, or go after the Astrabbit here. Either one can work. Does MBT have the face down rune to stop it? He does not. Hydrake goes down. This is huge. I think I'd probably go after the Rabbit. And the reason I say that is because Rabbit can now go to defense and force you to use a Spirit, but MBT has a Zeus of his own. This is going to come down to what does Powder have in his back row. Here comes an Exaltair. This is the play. This is the play. Exaltair can actually seal the deal here with a burn. Can it? The disenchant from Zeus? Does MBT have an Aeolus that he can play? I'm unsure. Does he have a way to attack the Zeus hits? Does Powder have a face down rune to stop the Exaltair? No, he does not. His Sorlet goes down, and Astrabbit's going to hit him directly. And now Powder down to just 1 spirit left. Does he have the Toxion? That would be huge if he could get a Toxion to the field right now. There's a Thunder Spirit. It's an Elechick, not a Toxion. He saw Elechick all day. He has an opportunity to hit this Exaltair down and knock it out. And if he can do that, there's still a chance for Powder to win this one. The Exaltair looks like it's going to go down. MBT, what is his final response here? Let's listen into the final moments of this clash. Who's going to take this one?
You gotta be kidding me. Okay, it's still nice. Ambrosia. Okay, I'm gonna disenchant the Astrabbit here for the Ambrosia cost.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put back Lycoris. Resting. I will grab the Elechick here.
It's destroyed, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Aeolus. We'll enchant 1. We'll go Aeolus to search. We'll grab P-Gust. P-Gust. We'll eat the back row.
The entire back row goes?
No, just the 1 card. The set card.
Okay. Is it destroyed or in hand?
Destroyed.
Okay.
And then we will try to get in.
So you win?
Yeah.
Because I don't have...
hoping.
Yeah, I don't have anything. Yeah, you win. Yeah. All right.
Oh my god.
What a game.
What a crazy ending to this clash. I don't even know what I just witnessed. Is it possible that Powder didn't have any water spirits left at the end of the clash to activate his Tsunami? Because I really feel like there was a window of opportunity for him to win there if he plays that Tsunami. I'm unsure about what his spirit deck was looking like. It was very thin. MBT takes the win, moves to 5-1, but Powder got him to 0 spirits. You can't write anyone out here in the Elestriad. Even as we close in on the final weeks, these casters are only going to get better. What a crazy game. This one was back and forth. Again, I'm unsure as to why that Tsunami never got its chance to play. Part of the reason why I said you want to go after that Hydrake, I really thought that there was a Tsunami there. I thought that made a lot of sense. But ultimately, MBT takes it with a clutch play at the end with Aeolus. I also wonder, I think there was an opportunity for him to Exalt Terror Nexus maybe and potentially win that way, but I think he hedged his bets a little safer going the way he did, grabbing that Picos at the end and clearing the field. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one of the Elestriad, and we'll see you guys for the next Clash.